Well, hey everybody, welcome to the review for the finale of the third season of Wilfred. Now, I really enjoyed this episode. I actually didn't know that it was the finale, because this week I managed to keep away and not see any of the previews of this episode. So I didn't see them say the Wilfred season finale at Thursday. So, Luther is coming on BBC this week, and I watched that first because it was an hour, and it'd be easier to do it that way, and then watch the DVR recording of Wilfred after that. But I went on Get Glue to do my stickers when I unlocked Wilfred. It said it was the finale. So then I knew. And, of course, when I knew it was going to be, a shock-filled episode full of twists and turns. I really didn't know what to expect. After the last two season finales, you know there's going to be a big twist at the end. I mean, you know it's coming, but at the same time, you don't know exactly what's coming or what to expect. You just know something is going to happen. And I really liked what they did with this one. Now, I didn't find it to be quite as big of a shock as I thought it was going to be. Because with the first season, there's a big shock. And the second season topped that. So I was really wondering if the third season would top the second. Now, there was no lack of shock as what happened. But it wasn't quite as much as I thought it would be. Now, I still very much enjoyed it. And it still did very well with what it did. But we'll get to that at the end of this review. This is probably going to be my longest review yet, as my notes on the episode were the longest I've ever had. So, let's just get right into it. Great episode. When we first opened up, of course, the last thing we saw, at least one of the last things we saw in the last episode, was Jenna kiss Ryan. And of course, she ran off, she realized what she did, and we knew that was going to lead to conflict. The first thing we see when this episode starts up, and this really gave a good intro, leading off after what happened. Ryan's looking out his window, he sees Drew, and you can definitely tell there's an awkward tension in the air. Something's not right. Of course, we knew what wasn't right. We knew why Ryan was trying to avoid them. So Drew comes up and knocks on the door. He opens it up, and you're wondering, does Drew know what's going on? And Drew starts something like, can't remember exact words, but he's, I've been thinking about this for a while, and it's been bothering me. And at that point, I was wondering, does he know? Or is this another fake out? And it was a fake out. As far as we know, unless there was something I missed in the episode, as far as we know, Drew doesn't know a thing. He may know, but at the same time, I think Drew would say something about it if he did. Now, as I said, it was a fake out, because we saw that what Drew was really upset about was he wanted to be the big man, the man of the house. And because he didn't save Wilfred, he felt bad about that. That was bothering him. So, as far as that part goes, Ryan was off the hook with Drew for the time being. But the whole tension was still there because he was still trying to avoid Jenna. And all that. And tension is another thing that showed us really well. It's not half-assed. It's very believable. You know it's there, and you know it's going to cause a lot of conflicts, and it's all acted out really well. Of course, we find out that Wilfred knows about it. He doesn't know who Jenna kissed, but he knows about it. And he confronts Ryan about it. Of course, at this point, he doesn't know it was Ryan. But you can tell he's really upset about it. So you know that once Wilfred finds out, and you know he is eventually going to find out, that's going to stir up conflict between Wilfred and Ryan, which there has been plenty of times, but not like it would be if he found out that they kissed. Now, of course, Ryan had nothing to do with the kiss, really. I mean, you can say that because he was nice to her, and he listened, and he was around her a lot and such like that, and he was supportive, that he gave her reason to kiss him. But Jenna was still the one that made the kiss, and Ryan pulled back and was shocked, and of course she ran off. But it wasn't really Ryan's fault, at least from my point of view. So, we also see that Wilfred is pissed off at Jenna. Now, I think he has been before about some minor things, but this time he's really mad. He's got a lot of anger to him through whoever kissed Jenna, which of course we know it's Ryan, he doesn't, and towards Jenna for kissing somebody. You know, he's yelling at her, he calls her a cockaholic and all this, and runs off when she comes to confront Ryan about it. Of course, we see Ryan's nature to run away from his problems at this point. He says he's going to take Wilfred for a walk in the park. Runs away instead of talking to Jenna, which he probably should have. And that really keeps in the character of Ryan. And I really liked how they did that. You know, Ryan has never been one to much really face his problems head on. He always looks for a way out. And of course, that could be attributed to his dad and his family, and I'll get into what happens in this episode with them later, but after that happens, we see Jenna knock on the door, and Ryan opens it, and this is definitely a thing where he can't run away. There's not really any excuse he can make, because she is determined to talk to him about it. Of course, she says that it was a huge mistake, and it was, and that she wants things to come back to normal. So at this point, there's all these things. The kiss, Wilfred figuring it out, and the conflict between Jenna and Ryan, back to normal and all that, that it's just building up, and it's going to blow up. And of course it does, but I thought it went really well with the progression, how everything happened, how it caused conflict and all that. But we'll get to what happened and everything later. Now, to add even more fuel to the fire, we see Ryan meeting with his dad. And I think at least most of us are still really iffy about his dad, because we know what kinds of problems he's caused Ryan in the past. So we find out that he is trying to get Ryan to come back to the law firm. And he says, well, things are going to be different this time, but Ryan's still kind of suspicious about it. I mean, he's not like, no way in hell that's going to happen. He's definitely thinking about it. He's definitely tossing it around in his mind. But he's still conflicted. Of course, they made up quite a bit in the Christmas episode. I thought that was really cool. But just like most of us think, we really don't know what to think of Ryan's dad, even after the end of this episode, and I'll get to that again. But anyway, after the dinner, Ryan goes to see Wilfred and talks to him, and this is another point that I'll make really quick. I'm not going to make too much point on the humor and the side of things, so much of the drama in this episode, because as the finale, that's what we're really focused on. We know that Wilfred's a dog, I made this point before, but I always try to make little points to put them in my reviews. The way that Ryan almost falls on one of Wilfred's toys, and they commented down how he left it around, and that's what dogs do. Dogs just leave their toys around because they don't know any better. Of course, you could say that Wilfred, who he is, knows better, but that was another point to show that he's a dog. Anyway, as I said, most of us probably are. Wilfred is wary of the dad. And hold on, cat wants in. And she'll keep bugging me if I don't let her in. Come on, silly thing. But anyway, so he's wary of the dad. And you know this is really going to cause conflict and everything. So, at this point, I don't think we really knew what was going to happen. I guess some people could have figured it out, but the way this thing twists and turns, I mean, you can figure out stuff with the dad and stuff. That was kind of easy to figure out. But, my next point, before I get further in, we find out that Wilfred, through his investigation, has put chocolate and flowers on Jenna's doorstep. So Ryan goes over there. Of course, before this, we see that Ryan tries to get Wilfred off the subject of investigating who kissed Jenna, or who Jenna kissed, rather, by bringing up the symbol, which yes, we definitely want to know about, and comes into play later in this episode. But at the same time, I don't really think he was using that excuse to say, you know, trying to get Wilfred off the case, because he doesn't want Wilfred finding out it was him. So Ryan, of course, runs over, but by this time it's too late. Jenna has already discovered the chocolates and all that, so this is when things really start to blow up, and all the consequences of everybody's actions start to happen. And she, of course, thinks that it's Ryan, because she can't see Wilfred for the way that Ryan does, so in her mind, you know, the possibility of Wilfred doing it doesn't even exist, so the idea, the thought of it, of course, can't come to her. She can't think, well, maybe Wilfred did this, because the possibility is so far out there, it would never cross her mind. So this leads to the first somewhat twist. Now, like I said, I didn't see the previews, and possibly in the previews we saw this, that Jenna was going to take Wilfred away from Ryan as a way to distance the whole family from him. Because, of course, she thought that he was the one that loved the chocolates. And both Ryan and Wilfred are really upset about this, which adds to the tension and adds to the whole thing. Because Wilfred does not want to be away from Ryan, and Ryan does not want to be away from Wilfred. And then things just keep getting worse and worse and more built up and more built up, because we see Kirsten is right after the whole separation thing, and Ryan's really upset. He's kind of out of it. Kirsten's talking to him. He's not really listening to her at first, but she says that he should take a job because she mentioned it to him, and he says he's not sure if he will or not. So everybody's really pushing him to get the job, and even though Kirsten's gotten a lot better, I'm sure there's a lot of us, including myself, that doesn't fully trust her. I trust her a little bit more, but I definitely don't fully trust her. And, you know, she's trying to get him with the dad again, and there's all that going on. And things are blowing up between Ryan and Jenna, and you know things are going to escalate, and you know things are going to eventually blow up with everybody else. So, during the whole separation thing, and this was another humorous point, and I've said this before, but the show really mixes the humor and the psychological twists and turns very well. This was a very plot-driven episode, because it was the finale. But they still put enough humor in there to keep you laughing. And you see the rock, you start seeing rocks hit Ryan's window, and then a brick comes through with a walkie-talkie. And I was like, well, meet me out front. No, meet me out back. So Ryan goes out back, and Wilfred's there, and Wilfred gives him a hug, and he's all emotional and stuff about being separated from Ryan. And then hear Drew calling him, and he has to go, wait, but that was pretty funny, and with all the tension, humor is great. You don't want too much humor. And I found it, yet again, to be pretty damn close, if not just the right balance to add to it. But anyway, then we see Ryan confront Jenna. And you know that even though I said that Ryan often doesn't confront his stuff, he sometimes does when he's pushed to a point. At this point, you know he wants Wilfred back. So he talks to Jenna, and they compromise that he can take Wilfred to the park after work, because he said he's going back to work. So there's that, and that relieves some tension there, but you know it's still there, because you know Ryan and Jenna aren't going to be hanging out anytime soon, and it's still going to be very awkward between them. Now, this next part was one of the biggest parts of the episode for me, save for the ending scene. As soon as I heard Anna's voice in the law firm, I knew it was her, and I'm sure everybody else did. Her voice is unmistakable. Another funny thing, just to throw out there, I saw her in an episode of How I Met Your Mother, and the first time I didn't recognize her, because the last time I saw that episode was before she was introduced in Wilfred. And it's so weird seeing her in something else. I mean, you can still see the same actress, she still has the same face and everything, but she's not kind of as scraggly and messed up as she's in Wilfred. Of course, that's her character on Wilfred. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there as a thing. But we find out that Anna, and as much as like her character, this somewhat disappointed me about her. Was it surprising with this show? Found out that his dad, Ryan's dad, sent her to spy on Ryan and see what was going on and install security cameras in the house. So, again, we're back to not trusting the dad because of the way he does things and sneakiness. Of course, Ryan's like that too, but the way his dad acts and the way he acts are completely different at the same time. Of course, Anne, sorry. She is reluctant. She's upset about what she did, and she's regretful. And I'm glad she was. If she had just been like, well, too bad, whatever. Because I'm sure that's what she was yelling about when the security came up and got her. She was trying to get her boyfriend out of jail, and when the dad turned on her and said he couldn't, I don't really think she realized what she did was wrong. And, I'm glad they put her back, because when she left, I was afraid she was gone. And I'm really hoping that if we get the 4th season, and I'm sure we are, because I've seen videos with discussion with like Jason Gann and people, and the way they're talking, there probably will be a 4th season. I really don't think we're not going to get one. I think it's a pretty damn popular show. Enough to get a 4th season at least. And if there isn't, I'm going to be so damn disappointed. But I doubt that's going to happen. I'm sure we'll have to wait a while. But we'll see. And I'll probably make a short video about that when I find out details of the 4th season. I did a little research right after I saw the episode, but I wasn't expecting to find much, and I didn't find anything. But anyway, of course, this leads to a big conflict between Ryan and his dad because of the cameras and everything. And even though this is a really serious moment, also leads to something funny, but he's yelling at his dad. He's upset that his dad could do that. And his dad gives him this ultimatum of either you come to work for me or you put you in a treatment facility. So that's just not right. Then we see the video, and Ryan's talking about, Wilfred, you put your penis in my mouth, and then you put it on a mug. That was great to add humor to a very dark situation. But it really didn't take away from how dark everything happening was, because it kept going with everything. There's a little drop of humor in there, and again, I thought it was very well balanced and just the right amount. But anyway, this is when shit starts getting really up, and really starts to come to the surface, and really starts to explode. So Ryan decides to run away, because he wants to run away from it all again, and get away from his dad and everything. But Wilfred wants to come, and when Wilfred first said he wanted to come with him, I was like, thinking, well, this is going to cause conflict, because of course Jenna and Drew are going to realize he's gone. And when they find out he's with Ryan, they're probably going to call the police and say, Ryan dog-napped Wilfred. But then Wilfred's face changes, and instantly, that he knows that Ryan was the one that Jenna kissed. So that leads to a fight. And then the dad comes in, tries to fight Wilfred off, Wilfred jumps back, or he's pulled off, and this causes the dad to stumble back, slip on a tennis ball, fall down the stairs, and die. Of course, this cut to a commercial break, so we suspected at the time that he was dead, or at least in critical condition. We really didn't know until it came back on that he was dead, because it opened up again in the funeral. And the whole thing with the toys laying on the floor, at first I thought that would just be a low point to throw in there. I never expected to actually lead to anything, especially something that big. So now we know that Ryan's dad is dead. I mean, there's so much that it can lead to. And we saw a part of what it leads to in the end of this episode, but so much more it can lead to later. Of course, at the funeral, everybody's upset. Even the mom's upset. And she admits that she knew how much pain it caused Ryan's father to put her in the institution. And how at this point, everybody, and I think a lot of us, were suspecting that maybe the dad really was trying to help. Maybe even if it wasn't in the right way, great intentions with a bad execution. So we really don't know at this point. I'm still really conflicted about the dad. I'm actually leaning to the whole, good intentions and bad execution thing, but I don't think that's really what it is. It wasn't good what he did. It wasn't a good way to do what he did, but he did have good intentions. He really was trying to help. He wasn't trying to hurt Ryan. Of course, because earlier in the Christmas episode, we found out that he never knew what his pressure and all the things he did to Ryan at the law firm, how much that screwed Ryan up. So, this leads up to everything, and Ryan gets upset with Wilfred, because Wilfred was the whole time trying to get Ryan to doubt his father. And last what we see is Ryan's pretty upset with Wilfred. You definitely know there's room to make amends there. Eventually he is, but we know at this point that he's still really upset with Wilfred over everything that happened, because it really did lead to the death of his dad. And if he just fallen down the stairs and, he was hurt and got up and, he was pissed off, that would have been different. But in a way, as much as I would hate to see the dad go, because he was a great character and he really led to a lot of conflict and really helped the show, I'm not glad that he died as much as I'm glad that is what that could lead to, and how much the series can progress off that. But anyway, Ryan goes to his dad's office, deletes all the videos, and then finds the letter. And the seal on the letter is the same symbol that was revealed in the painting. So you know, if you've seen the episode, you know what this is coming to. Ryan goes and checks the dress out from the envelope and finds an old, deserted, or destroyed house where the only thing standing is a chimney. And he kind of walks off like, what's happening? Oh, jeez, this is the last couple of minutes here. And Wilfred, not Wilfred, but Ryan finally discovers this bust or this statue. I had to rewind the recording at this point and watch it again, but what it looks like to me, maybe not a statue of Wilfred per se, but it was definitely looked to me like a statue, at the very least, maybe of Wilfred himself, but, or bust rather, whatever you want to call it, of a dog with a human face. Now I didn't see any circle around like a dog suit, but the face was definitely very human to me. And at the bottom of this bust or statue, you see the symbol. Now, this leads to a whole lot of points with me. First of all, in the video, I almost can't hear my face anyway. Anyway, in the video, Ryan's dad says that he was just talking to the dog, not mentioning that he could see that Wilfred was a human in a dog suit, or a human-faced dog, or however you want to say it. But this leads me to believe, because you know that has some affiliation with this place, and therefore it's highly likely he knew about the statue. Maybe he can see Wilfred that way. And you also know that Kirsten, in the past, was the one that did the drawing. And she described drawing Wilfred in there as a floppy hair. So maybe she could see him. Maybe she still does. Maybe she outgrew it. Maybe she can't anymore and can't really remember. And maybe they're all hiding. They can see it. Maybe not. But that led to so many questions. Not just what the statue is and what the statue means. Is Wilfred some kind of god or deity? Something they worship? There was definitely that. But it's so much more. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the review up with that. So ready for the fourth season to start already. Of course, we're going to have to wait a while, but I'm so ready for it, and it better happen. And of course, if it does, I'll pick up my reviews. Again, I plan to do the Michael J. Fox show at the end of this month. Wow. But, I'm not going to say anymore. I'm just going to leave you guys with that. If you're watching these reviews, tell me what you thought of the ending and everything that happened in the comments. Don't worry about spoilers, because this is a review, and I've said in my beginning ones that there are going to be spoilers in my reviews. So, going into a video like this, anybody's should suspect spoilers. If they read on, it's going to be their own fault. That's it. Great episode. Great ending. Peace out, guys.